My name is Paul Gunther. I'm president of the Institute of Classical Architecture and Classical America. The Metropolitan Museum of Art decided a long time ago to part with this collection either through deaccession or long-term loan. In the end, the final decision is a formal deaccessioning. Therefore, the Institute will have permanent stewardship of this collection.
The Met assembled this immense collection of casts, and it's huge, and it covers everything from Egyptian antiquity, Greek antiquity, Roman antiquity, Byzantine period, the medieval period, the Renaissance, the Baroque, the 19th century, the 18th century. You know, it's like the entire range of history.
This collection is almost priceless for all sorts of reasons. One of which is that some of the things that we're getting, like the casts from the Parthenon, which were taken from the Elgin marbles and so on, you can't get anymore. I mean, they're not casting anymore from the Elgin marbles. Casts from buildings that are still exposed to the weather. The ones from the Met were made in the 19th century. If you went to cast them again today, the building's degraded, you know, far more than it was at that point. So in fact, the cast in some cases is better than the original building. Of course, the original part of the Metropolitan Museum was the Great Hall and then rooms immediately around it. That hall used to be filled with sculpture casts as well as the dedicated room beyond it, so that when you arrived into the Metropolitan Museum, instead of seeing all the usual sort of visitor stuff that you see today, you would have been surrounded by great sculptures, great casts of, you know, architectural fragments and so on. And that's really where it got started.
This is the catalog of the collection of casts of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I think the number, if I'm right, was that they had over 2,000. The casts were at the Metropolitan for a definite reason, and that was for the training of the artist. And this was true of schools of art across the country. The most famous one was probably at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, because they had what they called the Salle des Plâtres, which was in a great hall of the school, and your artist was always trained to draw from the cast before he turned to draw the human figure. It was the phrase for it was called drawing the antique.
These are two casts of the metopes from the Parthenon, which are these astonishing sculptural compositions on their own. And the metopes are those square panels that sit between the triglyphs on the main frieze of the Parthenon, you know, all the way around the building. And they of course depict this amazing battles between men and centaurs, right? So you get these centaur figures here, this horse man figure fighting this man, and they're astonishingly dynamic compositions, and each one done by a different sculptor, and they all play out the theme of how do you create a sculptural composition inside a square box, basically, right? Because you've got this square frame to fit these things into, and each one is different and quite astonishing.